Hey guys, just quickly, if you are interested at all in the Forbidden City, which we explored in part 1, you may enjoy reading a guest article blog post which I wrote for PhantomRiverstone.com. The article looks deeper into why this area may be an important one in the future of Shenmue. You should check out PhantomRiverstone.com anyways, as it is one of the best Shenmue community websites available, and regularly updated with great content. And now, here is part 2 of my Shenmue-inspired travel.
I have a letter from a man named Zhu Yongda.
Hello and welcome to my Shenmue-inspired travel journey. In this second part of the series, we travel to the cities of Xi'an and Suzhou. If you are not familiar with these locations, Xi'an is where the Terracotta Warriors are, and Suzhou, which is considered to be the Venice of the East, or the Venice of China. We start our journey in Xi'an, the capital of Shaanxi province in central China. Once known as the Chang'an, it marks the Silk Road's eastern end and was home to the Zhou, Qin, Han and Tang dynasties. As soon as we arrived at the Terracotta Army Mausoleum, we were greeted by a local resident whom had invited us into his family home for a freshly prepared banquet of a typical Chinese feast. These dishes were some of the best food that we ate on the whole trip, and it was a pleasure to be served by such a great, welcoming and humble family chef. We had heard about the Terracotta Warriors when researching our trip, but were not prepared by the sheer size and scale of the army at this World Heritage Site. The first fragments of warriors and bronze arrowheads were discovered by Yang Zhifa, his brothers, and Wang Puji, who were digging a well in 1974. In that same year, a team of archaeologists went to the site to undertake the first excavation. The excavations, over an area of 20,000 square metres, produced about 7,000 statues of terracotta warriors and horses, and about 100 wooden battle chariots and weapons. Large structures have been erected to protect the pits, and a larger necropolis of 600 pits have been uncovered by 2008. The Terracotta Army served as a garrison to the mausoleum, and is yet to be completely excavated. The Terracotta Warriors were a fantastic spectacle to behold. Photos cannot really do justice to seeing the whole army with your own eyes. Everything we did on this trip was just breathtaking, and I hope you would agree that it is extremely hard to take a bad photo. On the way out, we purchased a couple of souvenir figures and had a photo taken with one of the sole surviving farmers whom had originally discovered the warriors, as we were led to believe anyway. After a Google search, it appears as though this person is known as a fake farmer called Yang Geojian, but no one knows for sure. As the day came to an end, we boarded an overnight sleeper train to Suzhou. As my face clearly shows, I highly recommend this method of transportation.
Please get us all one next time.
It's not big, there are more in the bag.
They have more ice cream. And you can have to wear those.
I follow your advice though for that one.
Nice. After arriving in Suzhou, the first port of call was the master of the Nets Zen Gardens. The master of the Nets Gardens are regarded as among the finest gardens in the whole of China. They are recognised with other classical Suzhou gardens as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The garden demonstrates Chinese garden designers' adept skill for synchronizing art, nature, and architecture to create unique masterpieces. The Master of the Nets is particularly regarded among garden connoisseurs for its mastering the techniques of relative dimension, contrast, foil, sequence and depth, and borrowed scenery. The buildings are laid out in a style called close to the water, which is used to give the rosy clouds pool the illusion of great size. Small buildings are set on rocks or piers directly over the water surface, while large buildings are separated from the pool by yards planted with trees to obscure their size. After finishing at the Zen Gardens, we headed over to an area called Tiger Hill, which, as you can see in the distance, the tall tower. We visit this later. We headed to an area full of shops and canals, which is where Suzhou gets its name, the Venice of the East from. With its narrow streets and passageways intertwining around the canals, it's clear to see why it is regarded as this. The streets were heavily crowded and a large queue had formed for a ride around the canals by boat. Luckily, we were able to hop straight onto our boat and check out this awesome little area from the waters below. The lanterns and style of this area reminded me of Chobu, one of the new unknown areas which we have seen footage of in Shenmue 3. Whilst being a Shenmue fan, on a trip to China and Japan, it's hard to not constantly be reminded of the games. Peering out of our hotel room window early in the morning, we came across this elderly lady performing her daily morning Tai Chi routine. I could envision the Tai Chi practitioners at Manmo Park in my head, or see Jianmin by the infamous Iron Palm RNG tree, or even Ryo himself outside the cave atop of the mountain facing Guilin. Today was the day in which we were leaving Suzhou and heading for our next destination. However, we still had a free morning with time to explore a little more. We decided to head on back over to Tiger Hill where we had previously seen that impressive tower. We were really glad that we did, as the tower and surrounding area were breathtaking. Full of flowers, colours and serene beauty, Tiger Hill was the most picturesque place that we had visited so far. The hill has been a tourist destination for hundreds, if not thousands of years, as is evident from the poetry and calligraphy carved into the rocks on the hills. Its features include the sword testing rock, a rock in two pieces that was supposedly cleaved cleanly by a legendary sword of extraordinary sharpness, spring of simplicity and honesty, a well that according to legend first appeared as a spring to an exhausted monk carrying water up the entire length of the hill. Yuyan Pagoda, a pagoda 7 stories high, known for its lean. Sword Pond, Jianshin, a small rectangular pond beneath which a treasure of some 3,000 swords are believed to have been buried. It is believed that the Wu King Hilu was buried next to the lake wall. Efforts of excavating the site was made in the 1950s, but it was stopped because the archaeologists found the Leaning Pagoda's foundations rest on this site.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It didn't last too long until Shenmue's sights once again came into my mind. Whilst wandering around we came across a large staircase that led up to a temple. The staircase instantly reminded me of Scarlet Hills from Shenmue 2, and the stairs there that lead up to Manmo Temple. The temple, like Manmo, red in colour and design, with Chinese Buddhism themes adorning the temple walls. Monks present nearby in the surrounding rooms, and a man providing
Service.
by carrying plants, and one of the most Shenmue-like things that I had seen so far. This dragon and phoenix plaque, which graced the wall and instantly drew my attention to its Phantom River stone mirror style design. As the Suzhou trip came to a close, I had time for a couple more things. Firstly, my attempt at Tai Chi that I had perfectly mastered from my early morning window teacher. Secondly, a weird black bun Chinese McDonald's burger. And finally, our very first bullet train experience to Shanghai. Let's just say that if you could see my face, it would clearly show that I highly recommend this method of transportation. Well, a 45-minute journey is much better than a 16-hour one. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in part 3.